experiencing about the season of hundreds, right? The World Cup is around, but not few days back, we were celebrating a very different kind of hundred. We were talking a lot about the country crossing 100 medals, and this is not something which has happened in a year. It has happened after years of effort by some amazing people and the very fundamental platform that they have created for the girls, particularly the women athletes, and also looking at the different sports getting recognition in India. So how this entire thing has happened? What has triggered India to reach the or not even reach, probably even start realizing its own potential? A country that we very proudly say that we are 140 billion, but it is not reflecting in the numbers when it comes to medals. So there needs to be something more that has to be done. And it's an absolute privilege for us to have somebody who is contributing to that particular part at the very root level. It's an absolute privilege for me to introduce you to Vaidehi. Vaidehi, thank you so much for taking time and joining us for this conversation.
Yes, of course. I am very happy to be here, and I'm always very happy to promote and support sports in India, as much as possible. So it is a pleasure for me to speak about how India is doing and how we are growing in this country, in the field of sports and fitness. So yeah, thank you so much for inviting me.
So how did your journey start for you? It's a little unusual field when we talk about the tech industry. So how did you pick up sports management as a field?
Well, it is a very fast growing field now, sports as a whole, as an industry. In past few years only, we can see some amazing feats, some amazing achievements, and not just on field, off field also. But when I started my journey, this was maybe about 15, 17 years back when I graduated from engineering college. And at that point of time, I remember that I was a huge fan of different sports. I just used to love to play, be on the ground. I have experienced and played a lot of different sports in my life, including taekwondo, cricket, and ending up with one of the closest sport to my heart, which is football. And I remember in general, not just among women, but in general, sports was just played as a recreational activity. It wasn't looked at as a professional career, whether it is from an athletic point of view or it is from a career point of view or management point of view. It was not looked at as a career, but it is a very dynamic field, right? Compared to a lot of other fields, every day is different. And for me, when I decided to enter sports field, that was one of the most important things in my life. I am not a 9 to 5 kind of a person. I don't like sitting in front of the computer all the time, in a cubicle, in AC maybe. I'm not that kind of a person at all. And I realized that sports is going to give me that dynamic atmosphere, that everyday excitement that I need in my life. And it helped that I loved playing. It was a big support for me to enter into the sports field. But as I graduated from engineering, I knew that I was never going to become a professional athlete because, usually the right age to start your professional activities is between maybe 10 to 16. And that is the time when you know that you're going to go ahead as a professional athlete, right? And I started playing football at the age of 19, which was very late. Um, but at the same time, I never wanted to become a professional athlete either. Um, Maybe it was my inclination, or maybe it was that nobody around me was a professional athlete. But I never thought of becoming a professional athlete at any point of time in my life. But I wanted to work or be connected to sports somehow. And that's when I came across a course called Football Industries MBA, which is hosted by University of Liverpool. At that point of time, it was the only course on football business. And since I was playing football during engineering, it was a natural choice for me. But they needed a couple of years of experience. So I worked for a couple of years after my graduation, and then I applied for this course, and I was the first Indian woman to do so. So it was, it doesn't matter to me, to be honest, if you ask me whether I was an first Indian woman or not, but they told me that I was, and it was great. The throughout the course, I learned a lot about football business. I learned about myself, I think. And the cohort is very, very close. Till date, all the FIMBA classmates are very close. I still talk to a lot of them, which was a fantastic experience nonetheless, because we shared a common passion, right? And sport does that to you, right?
Absolutely.
You connect with each other irrespective of your religion, gender, skin color, languages. It doesn't matter. It just breaks the barriers, right? It just brings you together. It's a great uniter. So I fell in love with the overall industry in general, and I that's how I got introduced to sports as a career, and that's my quick starting point, maybe, if I could say that, and the rest
Okay.
is history.
So how did it progress? So graduation, couple of years of experience, post graduation is fine, but when it comes to actual implementation, the challenges are very different. So how did you overcome those?
um Obviously, one of the key points for me was not, I mean, it wasn't about getting a job, right? The degree or the post graduation wasn't about getting a job. It was about learning. So I kept that mindset always, and I have realized that it helps a lot. So if you have a learning or growth mindset, it doesn't matter what the field you want to work in, right? It doesn't matter what career you want to do in life, um, or what is your goal. I think a learning attitude towards anything will always bring you opportunities, always. And because, I had kept that attitude, that mindset, it brought me great opportunities also. Um, you are talking about implementation actually working in sports. Yes, it is difficult. It is
Yes.
much simpler now, yeah, in the past few years. But when I graduated about 10 years back, um, making a career in sports was a dream. It wasn't something that you could just get up and do it right away, right? So it does take a lot of patience. It does take a lot of aggression. Maybe you want to do this, you want to be here, you want to do something, go somewhere. You need to have that in life. Aji zara tham. um so you need to have that passion. I think passion will keep you going, but at the same time, the intelligence or the creativity, the ability to think beyond borders will take you to places in sports. So it's less about your education background, it's about your attitude towards working in sports, and that is what is going to help implement a lot of things. And that is my experience. um I, after graduation, of course, I got an opportunity during graduation only. I got an opportunity to intern with UEFA, which is a very rare opportunity for an Indian, right? If those who don't know UEFA, what UEFA is, UEFA is a European governing body for football. And getting an internship, and through that, it was a paid internship nonetheless, and I was like, wow, this is a very rare opportunity, I must grab it. And after that, I continued with one of the employers. I was the first one to get a job also. And to be honest, I got that opportunity purely because I went beyond my limits. I went above and beyond to make sure that I'm connecting with people. I'm talking to people about my passion. And at that time also, I was very passionate about women's football, right? So that passion, that, communication with a lot of people in the industry brought me that opportunity. when you get an opportunity like that, it becomes easier to implement what you want to do, right? It becomes very easy to implement your dreams, your plans, your goals. But for that, you need to talk to people. Nobody will spoon feed you in this field, honestly. If you want to implement, you have to do it yourself. It's a good and a bad thing because, you don't know how you are going to do anything in this field. But at the same time, you have the canvas to do it, right?
I
You
agree.
can go out there and just start painting. So implementation is hard, but it is very exciting. Um, for people who are ready to, deal with uncertainties and ups and downs every day. Not maybe not everybody can do it, but if you really love that, if you really love seeing your passion converted into a dream, or if you want to really see yourself changing, I won't say the world, it's very hard to change the world, but if you want to change even a smallest thing around you, if you want to see that happening, there's no better field than sports to work in.
Any specific incidences that you would like to share with us?
Um, honestly, I would say the work that I'm doing now, right? Um, one of the goals that I had maybe 2 or 3 years ago was I wanted to change life of 10 women, right? And I was able to do that. I was, I wouldn't say that, they went on to, invent something amazing, but their life changed because I was able to help them. That was my goal 3 years back, maybe. That goal has now become bigger, and my goal through Women in Sport India is to actually help 10,000 women, right? In the next few years. That implementation is possible in sports. It is possible for you to help a lot of people around you if you put your mind to it, if you put your passion behind it, if you put your intelligence behind it. And Indians are all intelligent people, so we can do it. We can change the canvas of sports as we know it and actually see the changes while we are alive, right? That is
Good.
absolutely possible, and I was actually able to do that, and I keep on sharing their stories, how they have gone ahead and what difference a small thing made in their life, right? um, which which is a great, it gives me a greatest happiness, more than I can count, actually. More than maybe the happiness that you get when you buy something new, or mm, you get your first phone or a vehicle. It's more than that. When you help a person do something that they want in life, and you see that happening every day, it is the kind of happiness that you get from that is a different kind of happiness. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I could give you maybe 10 different examples of how women have changed in what way. But yeah, I mean, that was my aim, was changing 10 women's life or helping them, not changing life, but helping 10 women. Um, and I was able to do that in sports. Um, I know
Awesome.
that a lot of people can say that. A lot of people are doing that, but yeah, it's something.
Great. So, what women sports looks like? What does the canvas looks like right now?
If you ask me honestly, there is no better time to be in women's sports because after 2016 Olympics, when PV Sindhu won the first silver medal, that, according to me, was a linchpin moment where the entire ecosystem of women's sports started to change immediately and exponentially, and at a speed that even right now we cannot catch up with, in terms of talent development, in terms of support staff. The rate at which female athletes are being developed in India is just mind blowing, and it needs a lot of support. And through Women in Sport India, that is what we are trying to do, right? We are trying to create this ecosystem which can support the growth of women's sports in general. Or rather, it is growing, but we want to push it further and faster. That's what we are going to do. That's what we are trying to do. Because I feel like with the current growth, we are not keeping up with capacity building in women's sports, right? Creating female staff in companies or federations or teams or clubs. We need more women in this field, whether it's a scientific staff or it's a management staff, or it's analysts or sports medicine. You name the field, and women athletes are doing some amazing work. So we need women in these supporting fields also to
So
help
what if I
them. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
so if I understand this thing correctly, what I'm sensing is that while we talk about one single athlete getting at a certain level, we are talking about a far larger ecosystem that sports can create.
Indeed, 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 indeed. And it's not just about working in sports, right? It's a ecosystem as a whole. If women start understanding their health, you know, if they start playing sports for health reasons, we create a larger pool of women playing sports.
Yeah.
When we create a larger pool of women playing sports, we have more chances of picking up talented women and then taking them ahead. So it's as simple as, I have 10 women playing, I can maybe take one ahead. If I have 100, I can take 10 ahead. If I have 1,000, I can take 100 ahead, right? So it's a simple numbers game. And sports gives you additional benefits of being healthy. So even if you cannot go ahead and become professional athletes, and I don't think a lot of women like want to go ahead and become professional athletes, they are doing a lot of things for themselves, which is the best kind of activity, right? So sport actually essentially encourages women to become healthier. If a woman is healthy, the entire family is going to be healthy. And I have seen it myself. If a mother is a former player, she will make sure that her children play some sort of sport.
Totally agree.
And this is a larger picture that we are looking at. So it's not just from a professional athlete aspect, but also from a recreational point of view, health point of view. We want more women to be part of sports and fitness ecosystem, which gives us more opportunities professionally, but it also creates a healthier society as a whole. And that is the big picture.
I completely agree. I want to understand as you start working on building this particular ecosystem, what are the kind of supports in which people can connect with you? How do you see corporates playing role in this?
Actually, to be honest, corporates play a huge role, because their employees, not just their employees, we all of us are sitting on chairs, and nowadays sitting has become more a new smoking. And because of sitting in front of a computer all the time, we are facing a lot of physiotherapy issues. Our shoulders are stiff, our neck is stiff, our lower back is stiff. We are not walking as much as we used to, or our earlier generation used to. So that has created a lot of issues, especially in the urban atmosphere, in the metro cities, right?
Yes.
And that actually does create lot of biological issues in women also. And I am, of course, not an expert in this, but I've read a lot of papers and research articles, and that has told me that women who want to get pregnant, or women who have had children, or women in the later ages of their years, they have started facing issues because of this. And corporates can essentially bring organizations like Women in Sport on board, because we come with experts. It's not just me that is coming. I have a team of experts that come with me who have spent maybe 10, 15, 20 years in sports. So we bring that knowledge with us. It's a professional sports and fitness related knowledge. It is not something that you see on maybe in Instagram, some fitness influencers saying something. It is a scientific knowledge that we bring with us. So that is something that they can use to create a better atmosphere for their female employees, which is actually going to, in turn create effective work environment also. Because as we know, if you are active, physically active, you're playing some sport or doing some fitness activity, your work also is affected by that. You work much more efficiently. That has been proven. So I think corporates can do this with us, together we can create this, and they have a huge responsibility and they are willing to do it also. So I've had a few conversations with corporate offices, and they are more than willing to bring such an activity to their office as well, right? So, and to be honest, I have had female employees from a few corporate companies, and they are absolutely enthusiastic about a lot of different activities. They want to be part of this, right? They want to experience, they want to be, healthier mentally and physically. So I really enjoyed interacting with them. I really enjoyed hosting them. And definitely corporates play a big part, and they are willing to do it, which is a very positive thing for me, which I don't know if I have seen this I could have seen it 10 years back. But yes, I mean, yes, not just corporates though. I think individuals also are aware that they need to be healthy, and COVID has accelerated that belief in a
I
way,
totally agree.
because a lot of people realize that, because of COVID situations, they realize that I am unhealthy and I could face a serious issue if I don't take care of myself, if I don't become healthy. And women are part of it, of course, but Indian society as a whole is thinking about fitness.
I
As,
agree. One important point that you made some time back was regarding that the for kids to get into professional for sports as a profession, the right time would be somewhere between 10 to 16, right? So how can the parents with kids at that particular age, that particular age group, see their kids growing? What are the things that they need to follow? What are the do's and don'ts that you would advise them?
yeah, I mean, from a career point of view, if you want to do something um, other than, on-field engagement or being a professional athlete or a coach, um, some fields will require you to know that maybe till 18 years of age, because your undergrad degree will depend on what you want to do in life, right? So especially sports sciences, those who want to do something in sports sciences, right? The degree that they choose as an undergraduation, for an undergraduation, it will depend on what they want to do ahead. So let's say, for example, a person wants to go ahead and do sports psychology, right? It is very important that they have psychology as a subject in their undergrad, and then they can go ahead and do postgrad in sports psychology, maybe. That is up to them. Similarly, there are certifications that people can do, for example, nutrition. But then the catch here is, for your undergraduation, you need to have a chemistry as a subject, right? So these are very important things that you need to decide if you want to do something in sports sciences. That is where, I would say an age bracket of 15 to 18 is right for people who want to go ahead and do something in sports sciences,
Yeah.
right? Parents need to know this. But at the same time, I would also suggest is, don't force them to choose a degree without knowing that they like it. And today, I don't know if it was the same for you, Charudatta, but I don't think internship was a big concept when I was, in my 12th. It
No,
has
it was
become a huge thing for a good reason, and I'm really happily surprised that it has become big, right? After 12th, I tell this to a lot of parents, don't decide now. After 12th, take a gap year, let them do different internships with different type of people, different type of companies. It's okay. I mean, if they spend a year interning with people, it's not, they're not going to lose something, right? Because we have this thought process that, oh, एक year, you know, 1 year is gone. We have lost something big. It's okay. 1 year in the greater scheme of thing is nothing, right? Let them do internships. 2 months, 3 months, maybe under a sports scientist, maybe under a sports administrator, maybe under a sports analyst. Let them go through that grind. Let them understand what each field is, and then they can decide what they want to do. This can be done during 11th, 12th also, but we have we make 12th standard a big deal, board exams and whatnot. So obviously, I would not suggest that, but people can take a gap year and explore these opportunities, because if you don't choose the right career, then you are going to lose more than a year later, right? Then you're going to think, oh, is this the right field for me? Why did I choose this? And then you're going to explore other fields, which is, you're going to lose lot many years in that process. Rather than that, spend 1 year exploring different fields and then choose the right one afterwards. But if you want to do sports management, it's not necessary to wait. You can do any undergraduation, and sports management degree is open for all undergrad students, irrespective of your education background. But a lot of them do ask for work experience, so I would suggest to look at that. Sports analytics again is a field which doesn't require particular background, but you need to be patient, and you need to have inclination towards data crunching. But patience more than anything, because you have to gather 6 months data, 8 months data, 1 year's data, and analyze it to understand the pattern. So you need to have that patience first and foremost. But yeah, I mean, career making a career in sports has become so much more easier today than before, and there are a lot of options available. Sports science is a vast field, but don't limit yourself to that. If you are doing a technical degree like engineering or medical, you can go ahead and figure out if we can bring tech to it. And a lot of sports tech companies are coming up. So even if you don't have a specific education in sports, you can use the education that you have and then do something in sports. So let's say, for example, if you already have a marketing MBA, you don't need to do sports management. You can use the skill set that you have and just work in sports with that skill set. So, think from that perspective also. And of course, the obvious options are coaching, refereeing, and that will depend. The coaching licenses and stuff will depend on different sports. Some people have licensing structure like football. Others don't have a particular licensing structure like cricket or badminton. If you know the sport very well, if you have played at a national, international level, if you have a grip on the technicalities of the sports, you can go ahead and become a good coach in that. But yeah, the sports field has opened up a lot, and there is a lot you can do from a career perspective.
Vaidehi, what we have been hearing so far are some amazing ways of building the very basic infrastructure about sports in India. I would like to understand if there are some case studies that you can share with our listeners here.
Yes, of course. Since we are building an ecosystem as a whole, uh, right from ground up, which means that we want to encourage women who are not part of the sports and fitness ecosystem to be part of the ecosystem, and then also support them, help them achieve any goal they want or any goal that they have, which includes maybe becoming an athlete. But not just that, it also includes maybe their dream job, or getting the right mentor, who plays a huge part. I mean, in my life, mentors have played a huge part. So it includes all of that. I would love to give you a few maybe examples of how we were able to do that so far. So I would maybe, without taking names, because I haven't taken permission from them yet, to share these. But without taking name, I would like to share a few stories that touched my heart, and one of them is about a sports psychologist. She did her MSc in sports psychology, and her dream job was to work with, Samiksha Sports Psychology, which is like the leading firm in India. They're doing some amazing work. And she she became part of the community. She became part of, Busy Tribe, that is our community name. And she told us that that's her dream job. How can I get there? How can I reach my dream? And we were able to talk to Samiksha, and we were able to patch her through. And in one of the upcoming opportunities that they had, we were able to recommend her. Although we don't take part in the selection process, we recommended her and said, can you take a look at her CV? Can you take a look at her profile? She's a passionate sports psychologist, and her dream is to work with you. And they did, and she ended up getting that job. And she's now currently working with Samiksha Sports Psychology, and which is an amazing feat uh, for her, and a very happy moment for us because we were able to help her in that journey. Another example I would love to share is a very different kind of example. This girl is she connected with us when she was only 16. And she's a very smart, intelligent girl, and she's a table tennis player, right? And many times in our life, there comes a moment where we want to decide the path ahead. So in her life, such moment came when she was 18, right? 2 years down the line. And she connected with me, and she said, I don't know what to do. Do I keep on playing because I think I have reached my level of professionalism, or my level of professional table tennis? I don't think I will go ahead, and I know this in my heart, but a lot of people around me are pushing me to keep on playing, keep on playing. You'll do better, you'll do better. Don't give up. And it was a very unique situation, and I'm sure that a lot of players face this. But because of the peer pressure, or because of parents pressure, coaches pressure, they keep on playing, ultimately realizing that, oh, I'm not going to go anywhere. But for this girl, this young girl, that phase, she basically, I will give her credit that she understood the situation much earlier. And she was intelligent enough to talk to somebody about it. It's her credit, I must say, because not a lot of people will be able to do what she did, right? She connected with me and said, this is the situation, what do I do now? I told her, if you know in your heart that this is the professional level that you will reach in your life in table tennis, then then don't listen to other people. There are always other things that you can do in sports. Being professional athlete is not the only option that you have.
Yes.
And she was able to think through it, and decision was hers. But having somebody tell her that, sometimes we just want somebody else to tell us that which we already know, right? So I was able to help her make that decision. And she ultimately, the decision, I told her, that decision is yours. I cannot take this decision on your behalf. What I can do is maybe give my 2 cents and connect you to other people who can help you make that decision. That's something that I can do for you, but decision you have to take. And she took the decision, and she took the decision of going ahead with her undergrad degree, and she exactly knows what she wants to do. She has found her passion in sports. She has found what she wants to do in sports, and she is actually pursuing it. And she did. So we were also able to connect her to, through our master classes, we were able to connect her to JSW Sports, and she did her internship with them, which was one of the best experience she said she had. And not to mention, I'll tell you this, they called me back and said, unfortunately we cannot hire her full time because she's a student, but can she work full time? Because she's that good, right? She's amazing in the work she does, and she's very passionate, and that passion comes from the uh, table tennis side of her, right? Um, so she went ahead, and I know for a fact she's still a student. She's growing. She's doing some amazing stuff in her undergrad degree. But I know that in the future she'll be very successful. There are a
Awesome.
lot of women who would do a lot of things in sports as well. So yeah, a couple of examples that
Sure.
we were able to help. Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to understand was about the fellowship.
Yes. This happened by chance, honestly, and one of my contacts sent me a news or an article or a pamphlet about Reliance Foundation starting a fellowship for women who are doing some amazing work in different fields, which included education, arts and craft, rural development, and sports for development and sports development. And I it was an application process. Of course, you had to go through scrutiny, you had to share your profile, your achievements. So I knew for a fact that not just anybody will be picked up, they will have their own process. And but I said, apply करने में क्या जाता है, I the worst come worst case would be I will not get it, right? It's okay, I applied, and I was not expecting it, to be honest. I applied and I just forgot about it. And that's the best kind of surprise, right? You forget about it, and then something good comes out of that, and then just like it's like, wow, I did not expect this to happen, but I got in that fellowship. And from all the applications, they had chosen 50 leading women in different verticals, like the four verticals that I mentioned, and I was one of them. And it was just amazing to be part of the whole program in which they mentored us about leadership. It is a leadership fellowship. And they mentored us about a lot of things, like how to manage yourself, how to create your own brand, how to overcome imposter syndrome, which is very prevalent in a lot of women, how to time your work, how to make sure you are using the tools that you have with you, how to manage your finances, all of those things which are part of the leadership side of things. And then we had to do a project, or at least we had to start a project during our fellowship. And as that project, I chose equality toolkit as my project, developing an equality toolkit for women in sports. And it is an ongoing project. It's a huge project. It's not something that I will be able to do in a couple of months, 2 months, 3 months. But the idea behind developing that toolkit is to increase the opportunities and representation for women in sports, in all aspect of sports. And there has been some research and some study about um, barriers to entry in terms of sports participation as an athlete or as a player. But there hasn't been a study or a research in terms of decision making side of things, so management, administration, staff. So we are planning to focus on that aspect of sports ecosystem, that how can we bring more decision makers, female decision makers in sports? Because when you bring more women who can take decisions, automatically it trickles down the hierarchy, right? So that is the idea. And it's a double-edged sword. I realize that, because like I said, women's sports or sports in general in India is growing exponentially, but we don't have the capacity to support that. So capacity building is necessary in terms of female staff and female representation, but we don't have that support now. At the same time, we are expecting the stakeholders to up the percentage of women representation on their boards or committees or staff, which becomes very difficult. So, what we are trying to do through this toolkit is to come up with recommendations which can help all the stakeholders, you know, in terms of onboarding more female representation in a right manner, not just for the sake of filling the quota, but actually bringing women who can bring value and quality to the whole ecosystem, because that is the only way we are going to develop and build sports in India. With the talented female staff, we can build women's sports very well. So that's the idea of the toolkit, and it's a long task. It's going to take at least a year to create it, but it's something that I am very passionate about, and a lot of stakeholders are also very, very passionate about. People realize that it cannot just be for the sake of diversity anymore. Women bring different perspective to the whole ecosystem or industry, and we need women to be part of this ecosystem. So a lot of stakeholders are also very excited about it. So I look forward to that.
Thank you so much for these amazing insights, Vaidhi. I think some important takeaways from this conversation. The part number one is to be open about what you can do in sports. So we also realize that sports is not just about being an athlete. There's a larger ecosystem at play, and there are a lot of opportunities at play. If you'd like to learn more about this part, you can always reach out to Vaidhi on the social part.
Yeah, I've actually already started a series of short videos about making career in sports, because a lot of people approach me and ask me, what do I do in sports, right? So I've already started creating that. You can find me on Instagram. Yeah, and I'm there.
Do reach out to Vaidehi, do follow her and reach out to her in case you have got any specific things that you would like to discuss with her. Vaidehi, thank you so much for taking out time and joining us. I believe that this is going to be one of the most watched episodes because the sports is in here at this point in time. Thank you so much, Vaidehi.
Thank you so much for inviting me. This was a great conversation, and I look forward to the episode as well. Thank you so much.